Today we're going to show you how to change the ice bin on your refrigerator. That's a pretty easy job. All we're going to need is a Phillips screwdriver, a small flat blade screwdriver, and a 1/4 inch nut driver. Let me show you how we do it. Now to do this repair, we're going to begin by opening the freezer door. We're going to lift up on the ice bucket and just pull it completely out of the freezer. And we'll set that on a suitable work surface so that we can exchange the front panel portion of it and the auger. But before we do that, we'll want to reach in and lift the shut-off arm for the ice maker into the off position until we have our repair complete. Now to do this repair, we're going to need to remove the complete front panel and the door, as well as the shield across the top and the auger assembly. We need to remove that from the old bin and transfer it to the new one. And take a flat blade and just slide it under that catch, flip that up. We'll do the same on the opposite side. And we'll do the same to that. Just take a flat blade and just remove that. Next, we're going to remove 2 Phillips screws inside of the bin that hold the front to the bin. And we're going to turn that around and remove 2 screws from the bottom. Now we can separate the front from the bin. We'll just slide right off, and then we can set that aside. Now with the front off, we now need to remove the auger assembly and the chopper blade assembly, and it basically has to come off in one piece. So we're going to start by removing the 3/4 inch hex head screws. Next, we'll remove the screw that secures that mounting bracket for the crusher actuator arm. And it has a spring on it, so just take note of how that spring is mounted onto the base of that bin. So we'll remove the screw and just let that hang freely. Then next we're going to remove 2 more Phillips screws at the front bottom of the bin. Pull that forward enough. We'll detach the lip at the front that engages the front of that bin. Then we can just slide the whole assembly out through and discard the old bin. So we'll just discard the old bin. We'll take our new one, and we need to put that assembly back into that. And the trick on installing this is to make sure that we have that lip on the top of this mounting plate roll over the front of the bin, and then there's a couple of notches, one on either side, that these little tabs need to fit into. Now at the same time, we need to ensure that the bearing stays on the back of the auger and fits into that opening. So we just hold that assembly together at the front. We won't worry too much about the lever for the crusher. Just going to get it roughly into position, and we'll reach through the opening at the back to help guide that bearing into place. At the same time, we're going to hook the top of that mounting plate over the front of the bin and make sure that the tabs hook into the little slots, and then while holding that all together, just turn it upside down. And then we can pull the bottom of that mounting plate against the bin so that we can install the 2 screws. And make sure that that bracket is sitting flat on that mounting tab on the bin. If it isn't, it would mean that the top is slipped out of position, and we don't want to put excess pressure on that screw. Make sure that they both pull in and lay flat, and then tighten the 2 screws, and just roll that over and verify that it is hooked in properly. Next, we'll need to ensure that the arm for that crusher is positioned properly through the opening in that front plate, you'll note that there's two sets of crimps on that rod. One set will go behind the plate and one in front. So rotate it until it goes partway through the hole. Then we need to engage that hook into that slotted opening that operates the crusher door. And we can line that up after we've secured the rod. So just make sure that it's in the opening. We're going to make sure next that that spring hooks around the tab on the bottom of that bin, and that the bracket tucks in behind that tab. That will put spring tension on it, so we just hold that in position until you can put a screw in. Now we can turn it around. And next we're going to rotate that assembly into position so that the 3 screw holes line up, and also that we engage the hook on that rod into the flapper door. So just rotate it into position and just hold it there. Then look down inside the opening and make sure that that rod is engaged. And you can see in that position it has not. So we'll just let it slip down in and rotate that up again. And now we can see that we have that rod firmly in that slotted opening on the door. Just hold it in that position and then locate one of the screws, install it. And don't tighten that too securely yet, just enough to hold it in position. And we're going to go about 180 degrees opposite that screw, find another spot, and we'll install this one. And again, we won't tighten it too tight yet. Now once you have 2 screws in there, again verify that that rod is hooked into the door, and you should be able to operate it from the back just by pushing down on that lever, and that will engage the crusher door. Now we can put the remaining screw in and tighten all 3 of them. Now we're ready to put the front back on. So we'll start by laying the front panel face down, and then we'll lower the bin assembly into position. We'll locate those 2 holes in that mounting bracket over the 2 holes on the back side of that front panel. Insert one of the screws, and don't tighten that one yet until we put one in on the opposite side. And snug them both up. Now we're going to turn that around, and we'll locate the 2 screws for the inside. And I find it helpful if we put the one in on the right hand side first. And again, we won't tighten that one securely yet. You'll note the one on the left side has a slotted opening in it. We need to make sure that we have the screw fully into the hole on the front panel. And then we can tighten that one up. Tighten the one on the left, and then we'll tighten the one up on the right. Next, we'll put that guard back in position, keeping the ridged edge towards the front, and just snap it onto the side rails of the bin. And then just push it forward until it touches the front panel. And now we're ready to put the bin back in the freezer. So now we'll just open up the freezer door again. We're going to slide that bin in on top of the rails. Make sure it locks in position. open up the door and reach in and flip the shut-off arm down on the ice maker, and our repair is complete.